Hmm.
and that's important to them on a certain level. I'm curious, Thomas. So, I'm looking at the Good Men Project. I love that title. How did you come up with that name, and what was your intention?
Oh well, it's not my own project. The Good Men Project has been around for about 5 years, and it started with a guy named Tom Matlack who had actually put together a collection of essays, sort of stories about the male experience,
Hmm.
and he was going to publish it as a book, and then he talked to people to do this as a website, as kind of an online magazine sort of thing. And so what it morphed into is just that. It's an online magazine. We're having a conversation about what it means to be a man in the 21st century.
Hmm.
We publish about 30 articles a day by a wide variety of writers, some male, some female. We're very much fighting stereotypes, fighting racism, fighting sexism, fighting homophobia, fighting all of those things, but doing it not so much in a way that we want to shame the bad, but we want to provide role models for the good. Like, here are, we just did one. There was an article a while back on this blog called Scary Mommy, and the Scary Mommy woman wrote about like how lame dads are with the whole childbirth process. And yes, it was humorous. It was meant to be kind of a parody of the bumbling dad, but it really wasn't funny. And so we put together nine stories of fathers at childbirth. Nine really positive stories of dads being involved and what they felt and the amazement at the head coming out. All this. It's like, screw you, scary mommy. This is not what dads are about.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, you're touching into so many different areas of how we're raised, how our partners are raised, how those two things come together, and the misperceptions. But that's really valuable. Creating a project that creates role models for men is powerful because that's the way men think. I
right.
mean, really, we look to role models, and that's how we learn, I think, as men. And um, going back to the clothing thing, this idea of um, it's a secondary element in the fact that regardless of how you dress, if every opportunity of interaction with our kids is one that builds love,
Right.
builds affirmation, builds encouragement, it doesn't really matter how you dress, but it does on a secondary level, right? So if there's love, encouragement, and trust, then the role model element becomes so much more powerful because it's I really want to follow that, whatever it is,
Right.
right? Versus the what you see sometimes the rebellion that comes from interactions that create more anger, and then you have this idea of whatever he's doing, I don't want anything to do with it. I'm going to go the opposite direction. If he's wearing a suit, I'm going to wear cutoffs and
Right.
t-shirts.
Right.
So really it comes down to the relationship, which is ultimately
It
about
does.
just caring.
And then maybe we could also talk about, like, what do you do when your kid wants to wear something to school that you really think they shouldn't wear because
Right.
it could be embarrassing, it could be interpreted the wrong way. I mean,
Mhm.
as a child, I wore all sorts of humiliating stuff to school, like hats with the three things coming off of them, and my parents travel a
Like the
lot.
jester kind of hat?
Like the jester kind of hat for winter, and one story that you'll get a kick out of is when I was about, I guess, 8, we went to Finland. So this would have been 1970, 73, I think,
Hmm.
and I came back with basically a warm-up suit, a jogging suit. Only these didn't exist in America yet in 1973. So it was these blue pants with a stripe down the side and a matching zip-up jacket, and fit perfectly. And I was so proud of it. And I wore it to school. When I got back, and I got laughed out of the classroom. Everyone in my class, you came in your pajamas because no one had ever seen like one of these warm-up suits before.
Yeah.
And then 5 years later, like everybody's going around in these jogging suits. But so so your kid buys a hoodie or whatever, and you get it, and then he wants to wear it to school, and you're like, well, should I let him wear that? Because you want them to be able to express their individuality, but then you also don't want them to suffer, particularly the stuff that you may have suffered as a kid.
So now you're touching. Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that just reminds me. My dad lived in Italy when I was in high school age, right? And so we'd go over there, and everybody wore Speedos. You go on the beach, everybody's walking around their Speedos. So they're laughing at me because I'm wearing shorts. Like, look at those kids in their shorts. So you get Speedos, so you fit in, you're part of the culture and everything else. And then we come back to the States, and we're sporting our Speedos down to the pool, and everybody's laughing. It's like, man, that I don't think that trend ever really caught on in America, but
no,
it was funny.
No, here it's you go to the pool and the kids they're wearing the shorts that are like almost down to their ankles.
Right.
Almost
swim pants.
Right.
Well, I love that we start talking about the wisdom of storytelling with our kids, and one of the things that I really strive for is this idea of trying to look at these challenges with some humor and some grace, and then maybe trying to train or model for our kids this understanding that life can be quirky and funny, and that's okay, and give it a try, but here's the story about what I went through so you're aware of where I'm coming from, and and smiling and laughing. I mean, there's so much that comes with a sense of humor. I think that there's so much wisdom in approaching life with a sense of humor, and it's harder than it looks. I know some guys that are just naturally, they're so good. You'd never know that internally they're struggling with some type of a conflict, but it comes out so funny and so humorous, and that's the way they deal with it. That's something that I think we could all use more of,
Yes, how to develop that skill, how to have a sense of humor about yourself.
It is a skill.
And then how to, as you were saying, how to take those moments, like those potentially stressful moments, and try to make them more relaxing, because kids do grow up carrying those patterns with them. Whenever my mom and I went somewhere, and I would drive because she didn't drive at night. She had poor eyes and stuff, and she'd get anxious, and there would be like whether we're going to get lost or not, and just like this whole sort of drama playing out with this high level of anxiety and everything, and then you finally realize when you grow up, what? I don't have to repeat that. Like, I can have the feeling like, what? If I get lost or I take the wrong turn or whatever, I can find my way. Of course, now you have GPS in your phone. Now it's a lot easier than it was then, but still, just to say I can break that model, and I don't have to carry the anxiety from my own childhood into the experiences with my kids. Yeah. And to try to catch yourself when you are doing it.
Yeah. Well, a big help for me was, there's some great books that address some of these issues and they're deep. Some of them are very deep-seated issues: anxiety, stress, almost intentionally creating moments of high anxiety,
right?
For different psychological reasons. We're sort of programmed to do that. But as soon as you become aware of it, as soon as you say, okay, there's a pattern that I've learned or that I'm repeating or whatever, and like you said, I don't have to do that, there's another way to do it, I'm going to start looking for other role models and learn how I can deal with this better. I mean, reading, self-educating, books are amazing. And there are people who have committed decades of research and study and written great books that communicate very clearly on how we can become better communicators and deal with these issues. But yeah, every family deals with different anxiety and stresses. But one of the things that I've seen is the explosive. It's anxious, it's stressful, and then there's this explosion, and then there's this breakdown in the relationship, and then it's like, you know what I mean? And how do you deal with that? So, whereas just trying to stay calm, looking for solutions, looking to resolve issues, I mean, it's really, those are powerful lessons to teach kids at a young age, if they see that pattern developing. And I think they'll be successful in whatever they choose to do, because so much of that is based on relationships.
Absolutely.
And how relationships are impacted.
Right.
And that starts with that self-discovery, right? I mean, knowing thyself before trying to understand others or see others for who they are, because
Yeah.
I think that's the major issue when you look at like bullying in school.
Mm.
You know, they aren't comfortable with who they are, so they pick on the other kids based
Right.
upon their own insecurities. And so the more that our kids and the more that we can show our kids how to learn more about themselves, and we as parents can accept our kids for who they are instead of what we necessarily want them or expect them to be, that, you know, it all comes around full circle. So the beginning stage is that self-discovering, and I think as parents it's our job to kind of help guide our kids through that process.
Absolutely, and you know, as we realize what our own triggers are and the things that set us off, to help our kids discover the same thing. Like, you know, did you know that every time this happens, you know, you react or you respond in this same way? So, you know, how can we break that pattern? You know,
Right.
I mean,
And it not come off as a judgmental thing, but just
right.
as like a, hey, you know, like let's.
Right. It's an educational thing, and it's, you know,
Right.
like, I can stop doing A, but, you know, it also helps if you stop doing B. In fact, I'll tell you another funny story. My younger son came to me the other day. It was Tuesday night, and his mother's boyfriend, I guess, had shared this article with him on sort of more structured parenting. Like, you know, they have to go to bed at the same time. It was like 12 ways to be not a Nazi parent, but to be, you know, like really strongly disciplined. And he said to me, you know, I want to do these things. I want this bedtime, all of this kind of stuff. And I said, okay, James. I said, so the next time I ask you to go to bed at 8:30, which, you know, is the time you said, are you going to say to me, no, Dad, I don't want to, or are you going to, you know, make this easier for me? Because, like, if you want this, you know, then number one, you have to stop fighting me at every turn, and then I have to do my part too. I have to stop giving in to an extra 10 or 15 minutes or whatever, you know, which is a judgment call. But so I use that as an educational thing with him. It's like, okay, I believe in these things too, you know, to a degree, but we have to work together to make that happen. You know, if this is really what you want, then you can't make it so hard for me that every time I try to make this happen that, you know, you're trying to short circuit it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of leading back into that mentoring
Right.
that we were talking about in a previous episode. And Albert, I know you weren't here for that, but I'd love to have you, you know, go back and check that out. But we're just talking about how as parents we mentor our kids and
Right.
lead them. You know, kind of to get back to the how we dress and when we go out. It's funny because the majority of my work I do online, so I don't have any reason to dress. I mean, I literally could wear my pajamas most of the day. I mean, obviously I got like a shirt on now, but not a pajama shirt. But
I want to say thank you for that, by the way.
yeah, I could totally get away with it though.
Appreciate you
You know?
wearing a shirt.
He's wearing a Speedo under the.
Yeah, I totally am. Sport my European. Like, ciao.
We call those banana hammocks down here in Florida.
Right, right.
You want to say hi? This is my son Caleb.
Hey, Caleb.
Hey,
How
Caleb.
you doing? So, but I notice, like, I'll go to pick my daughter up from school, and I'll throw on a nice pair of slacks and a dress shirt, and I'll go to the school because that now the people at the school are starting. You know, I introduced them to Kick-Ass Dad podcast, this show, and you know the Modern Dad Council, and so they're watching this, and so I just want to have that professional look. Like I'm a professional online,
Mm-hmm.
but so I just want to have that image when I go out in public that I'm a professional, and so I feel I have to exude that with what I'm wearing, and at the same time, you know, I want my son to look nice, especially when we're going to church or, you know, out into the public. I want him to look nice because I feel like that reflects on me as well. Now, I'm not like a name brand person, you know, so it's not like it has to be a certain brand, but I like him to look presentable. But sometimes I wonder, like, it's not really necessary. but why do I feel that way? Why do I want that? And my son loves camo, and sometimes I'm like, why does he always have to wear camo? Like, why can't he get a nice shirt and something instead of wearing this? He'll put something real nice on, and he'll throw this old ratty camo sweatshirt on and to go outside. But I don't know. It's just it's interesting, and I don't. It's not that I feel bad about it, but at the same time, I know that it doesn't really matter how I'm dressed because it's who I am on the inside.
Right.
But still, there's that level of insecurity. I don't know if it's insecurity, but that image that I want to uphold.
I think it's a knowledge that people do judge, when they see us. They look, so if we look sloppy, we may not be a sloppy person, but somebody is going to think that's a sloppy person, or that person doesn't care, or whatever it is. So yes, we want to present ourselves always in the kind of in the best light, particularly out in public or in something like that, and we want that for our kids too. But then we also have to understand, one, their own sort of self-definition and what they're comfortable in, and two, what the current fashion is, in the school. I mean, for a long time, I was buying my older son jeans. Every year I'd buy him, a new pair of jeans that would fit, and he'd never wear them, and because he just wants to wear the athletic pants, like the Nikes or whatever with the stripe down this, and it's what everybody wears in his school. I mean, a lot of kids don't even, a lot of them don't wear jeans anymore. Certainly not corduroys or any of the stuff that like I wore, when I was a kid. It's everybody is in this really sort of comfy, athletic type pants and similar kinds of shirts too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I remember when I was in high school, a friend of mine, he always really dressed very sharply.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it intentionally. He
Right.
wanted that image, kind of a GQ kind of an image. And I remember, this is down in Fort Lauderdale, South Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and he wore Argyle socks with loafers. And most of the kids at that time, including me, we'd never seen Argyle socks. We didn't know what those were.
Right.
But he got so much satisfaction, of strutting around. I think he even had a corduroy, like a blazer or something. He would walk around. He was a good-looking guy, but he created such an image for himself. I mean, all the girls were attracted. He,
Mm-hmm.
he had the GQ look.
Right.
And that one of those things, one of the things that came from that for me was, wow, this guy has his act together.
Right.
And he became a leader.
Mm-hmm.
In that, as opposed to, you'd think that he'd be kind of laughed at and chased out, but he wasn't. He wasn't. He carried himself, and he showed up, and he was confident, and you could tell. So going back to that idea of, who we are inside, and how that confidence and the relationship we have with our kids and how that comes through. They have the confidence to show up and wear some jumpsuit from Finland with
Right.
total confidence.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, hey, I don't care what you think. You laugh all you want, and then everybody else starts wearing it. You know what I mean? It's one of those. But I think that for me, a big part of dressing, trying to dress well, and for a busy person, it can be difficult. But it's a struggle that I've dealt with, specifically regarding procrastination.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to develop good habits generally, even though I don't have to, just getting in the habit of making the bed, doing what I need to do, getting myself dressed, even if I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
Just it's just something that I fight within myself of not getting things done in a timely manner. But that also came from reading and learning and wanting to improve myself in certain areas.
Well, that's a huge challenge if you do work from home. How to sort of deal with that. 'Cause I worked in an office. I had an hour-and-a-half commute for almost, long commute for 10 years. I worked in the office for 20. But and so, with my kids, I mean, I would get up in the morning. I would serve them breakfast. Everything had to be put in the dishwasher and done before they were going off to school because I didn't want to come home to the mess.
Yeah.
So like neat house, left for work, came back. Now I'm working from home, so I get up. I'm driving to school in the morning, it doesn't matter if the breakfast dishes are still on the table because I can come home and deal with it. But there was something nice about that routine of everything being done and put away and cleaned up. So, you sort of go back and forth. Is that when the pressure is off and you don't have to do it anymore, I think our natural tendency towards a sort of entropy is like, oh yeah, I'll just leave that until later.
That really leads to the prioritization of your time too, because I noticed that when I was working at General Motors, I was working 12-hour days, 5 to 6 days a week, and I was getting all this stuff done through, before I went to work, while I was at work, I was doing all these things, and then I left that job and started working from home and doing some stuff here, and I'm like getting behind on my laundry, getting like stuff I never had issues with when I was working 60 hours a week. Like, how is that even possible? I'm home 12 hours a day more.
Right.
Like, that doesn't even make sense. And yet I'm getting get half as much done.
Right.
Because part of it, I think, is like I know that, I can get to that later. I'm not pressed to do it, and so therefore I'm able to put it on the back burner. So that really, like you were saying, Albert, getting dressed and making yourself look presentable and making that priority is, especially when you're working from home or owning your own business and kind of choosing your hours and things like that. Like you can really start to slack off in a lot of areas if you're not disciplined, and it takes a lot of work. I go through peaks and valleys all the time with what I'm doing. So,
well, you know what they say. It's what you focus on expands, right? So there's this idea that there was a study done with college athletes, and they found that college athletes during the football season, or during their sport of activity season, did much better on their grades. They got more done. You know what I mean? They were much more efficient with their time than in their off season. Their off season, when they had more time, they were having more problems. They would, slack in other areas. So it really kind of makes sense. It seems counterintuitive, but it actually makes sense. If you're forced to focus on your schedule, that's going to expand.
Yeah. Yep. I see that every day. For sure. So, and that kind of brings me back to the way we dress, focusing on, the things that we're teaching our kids, right? Making sure that we take that time to make sure our kids are, my kids are growing. I've got a 5-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old son. They're constantly outgrowing their clothes. So it's like making sure, checking their closets, making sure that what fits them. So it's going through that routine of try this on, okay, going to Goodwill or going to a hand-me-down or something, sorting through it, getting that stuff taken care of. Because I'll go months and I'll look at my son, I'm like, dude, why are you wearing those high-water pants? I just bought you a pair. Yeah, these are the pair you bought me. It's like, no, those pair I bought you fit you. So staying on top of that, staying focused, paying attention to the things that you need to do, because it gets away from you.
It does.
But to not beat yourself up over it either, because I find myself, I'll do that sometimes, like I can't believe that I completely forgot to do that, or I haven't done this, I haven't done that, get caught in that spiral, right?
But and that brings up this, like, the whole idea of what we're doing here is, both educating for dads, but liberating to a degree too. Like, we're all normal, we're all sort of in this thing together, and so, like, sometimes one of my son's friends will, the mom will call up, can so and so come over, and I'm thinking, oh crap, now I've got to clean the house, I got to get everything straightened up, so this kid can come over, and if his mom comes to the door, it has to look presentable, and then my son will say to me, oh God, you should see Jacob's house, like, because he's been over there. Like, I said, oh, his house is messy. He's like, oh yeah, God, so like, everybody, yeah,
Right.
don't have to sweat quite as much, because everybody's struggling with this, and particularly, families where both parents were out of the home or whatever, how do they keep it all straight? So I just think, knowing that we're not alone in all of these things and challenges that that we face and other people are going through too is very helpful.
Absolutely.
As long as we all understand that, right? So you've always got the person who wants to be, who bears the image, sets the bar real high.
Right. Right, exactly. You know, and this happens with social media too. I mean, you know, somebody posts the picture of the table all set and everything's lovely, and you know, you look at all that, and they're not going to show you the picture of after dinner when everything is all, you know, mess. I mean, I made Thanksgiving dinner and it all looked beautiful on the table, and you know, you should have seen my kitchen afterwards. It was a complete disaster with all this stuff to be cleaned up. But I think, you know, that could be a whole other show, is like the image, you know, the presented image, particularly on social media, that people are almost like hyper competitive with this stuff versus the reality. And I mean, I know I sort of try to strike a balance. I don't post a lot of stuff. Actually, I post fairly little about my kids. Like every once in a while, like maybe once a month, if we do go somewhere interesting or I have a cute picture of them or something. But I see so many people kind of overload with that. But I think it's also important, like you want to show the great stuff, but you also want to have some humility about it. So like sharing something where your kid actually owns you, you know, is kind of funny in a way. So that you know, I don't know, just I think the degree to which we can encourage people to be more real, you know, and not be embarrassed or feel vulnerable about just being real.
You know what would be funny is if you had a technology where the person viewing your video could control the direction of the camera without you knowing.
Yes.
Like, let's pan to the left and let's see what's over here for a minute.
Right.
Now, let's go over here. What's really going on over there?
I really don't like that idea.
Is that dirty laundry over there on the couch?
Yeah.
I don't want you guys seeing how messy my desk is, okay? It is cluttered. It looks okay in camera view, right? Like
Right.
that little section right there is fine. But that's all you get to
It's all
see.
been staged, yeah.
Right. You can't see what's back here and what's back here.
Right.
We watched the Muppets Christmas Carol, the movie, last night, and you know, it's funny because everything's so staged to, you know, so the little puppet hand can come in and, you know,
Right.
and I'm sitting there looking at it, it's brilliant staging, it's brilliant, right? But so much of life can be like that,
Yeah.
right? Where we're trying to stage everything to create this, and then it's like so much energy is put into this idea of instead of energy being put towards like a truthful, transparent, open, real conversation, we've got to waste all this energy on creating some type of a false image,
Right.
and it's not even real. I mean, what a waste of time that really is. And then it alienates you from people. It's the irony of it.
It does, and also, you know, it takes you out of the experience. I mean, if you're out somewhere and you're spending 20 minutes posing your kid so you can get the perfect picture to put up, nobody's having fun. You know, you must have had shots with,
Absolutely. Yeah, being in the moment, being present, right?
Right. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I love that GoPro. I got a
No,
GoPro
I was
for my
just
birthday.
That was a joke.
Oh, really?
This is my beautiful wife, by the way. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Jasmine.
Chris. How are
How
you?
you doing? Good. Good.
Okay.
He's giving you a hard time. Oh, she can't hear me, huh?
No, just kidding.
Lucky for you.
I would never allow that to happen.
Right.
Total control.
Right. Too funny.
How's Samantha, by the way? I haven't seen her in a long time.
Very good. Oh man, for Thanksgiving she made these rolls. Like she's from like a farming community, you know, and she made these rolls that were phenomenal for Thanksgiving, and then she made this cinnamon bread for breakfast this morning. She made it in a French toast. Ugh.
Do they grow rolls on her farm?
No, but they grow all the stuff to make the stuff. Like her family's just they're big cookers, cooking, into cooking. I don't know how to phrase that, but I've never been dated a woman that cooks like she does. So
Very nice.
she's
Very
plumping me up. Seriously, I gotta watch what I eat. I'm like, this is so good.
We pigged out yesterday, man. We totally pigged out yesterday. I'm still recovering from it today.
Yeah.
How about you, Thomas? What did you guys do yesterday?
I had my older son was here. The younger one was with his mom and her friend, and I had a friend come in from Boston to join us. So and I cooked the Wednesday and the Thursday. I spent making sweet potatoes and stuffing and turkey and cranberry relish and all that stuff. So we had a really nice feast last night.
Good job.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't cook anything. My mom and Sam did it all. But I did enjoy it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So we really didn't get into the nutrition topic. I watched that video with, was it Steve?
Yeah, or Sean Stevenson.
Stevenson, yeah.
Yeah, I think
very good video, by the way.
Yeah, that was.
I took notes on that. That was very good, helpful.
Yeah, he's the top podcaster in the health industry, so or under the health category.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll reschedule that show for a later date since we had so many people cancel today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised it's the day after Thanksgiving, but just unfortunate.
No, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the conversation. One of the things I was going to mention earlier about the nutrition topic is, going back to the way we interact. Before I really started getting healthy again, a lack of sleep, poor nutrition, all these, stress, all these things really affect our relationships and the way we react in relationships. And
definitely,
like we said earlier, the importance of having that relationship, building those interactions positively. If you're not taking care of yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit, I mean, you're setting yourself up for high anxiety, high stress, difficult relationship elements, which manifest themselves later on in kids with anger and more stress and rebellion and negative things.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the things. Same with me when I was working at GM, getting 4 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah,
wake up with my daughter. I had her all day. So I'd sleep on the couch or she played here and just kind of wake up like, oh crap, where'd she go? I'd do a finder and I'm stay in here. I don't have the patience to chase you around. I'm too tired, right? And then as I started implementing nutrition and exercise into my life, it's like I find myself only getting 4 hours of sleep, but waking up alert, ready to engage and have a relationship with her, as opposed to that zombie on the couch, right? That really changed, and my son especially. He was 12 at the time when I started down that journey, so he really got to see that progression in me and that change, and our relationships blossomed since then.
That's awesome. That's amazing. It really is incredible how eating junk food affects just the way you show up every day. I mean, one of the big things for me was feeling very negative about myself, right? And some of it was the physical element. Some of it was the physical, but I think more of it was feeling like I didn't have maybe the sense of self-worth in a way, to take care of myself, right? Like, why aren't I just taking care of myself? I can do it, but I'm not doing it. And then there was a whole self-value thing going on there that I had to work through.
Right. Yeah, because you have the craving, and then you eat the bag of chips or whatever it is, and you say, "Oh God, why did I do that to myself?"
Right. I know better now. Now I feel even crappier.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I feel even crappier, so I better go have a pint of ice cream because I feel so bad.
Exactly.
Well, screw it. Since I already had that bag of chips, I might as well eat this gallon here, right?
Right.
Yep. And you're sitting there all stomach so full. What did I do that for? Oh, I'm so stupid. Yep. Yeah, been there.
I think the hard thing is when somebody you love comes over to you and they don't understand that, they hug you and they touch you and you're just like, don't touch me. I can't deal with this right now. I don't feel good about myself.
Yep.
And they don't get that. They don't understand it. So
isn't it interesting though? Women, we know they have issues when it comes to their body and things like that, right? But we have it just as much.
Oh yeah.
It's just we don't talk about it.
Yeah, there's some good articles on the Good Men Project about men and body issues and expectations and male body dysmorphic disorder and all that kind of stuff. It's very real.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
More awareness reading.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a difference. Makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite terms now. Is just being aware.
Mm-hmm.
Such a big deal. As soon as you're made aware of something, a lot of problems can go away. As soon as you're made aware of it.
That's true.
So,
well, being aware of opportunities that come up that if you're stuck in a certain paradigm, you don't see those opportunities, so you're not aware that they even exist. So yeah, absolutely. There's so many different things that awareness bring to you, opportunities, potential. So
being a dad is a skill that we can all learn, and I'm glad that you guys are out there making the effort to help us grow and understand things better. So good call.
Yeah, the beautiful part about the council is that the Modern Dad Council is like we deemed it, I guess. It's just that the idea is just a panel of guys that talking about what it is that we're going through or things that we went through and things that we did to help us through that, and hopes that somebody watching picks up something and goes, oh my gosh, like Thomas alluded to this earlier, like I'm not alone, like there's somebody else out there thinking and feeling the same stuff. So that's the idea of this show. Obviously I do the Kick-Ass Dad podcast as well, so this is a YouTube thing, so that it will be a podcast as well. But I really appreciate you coming on, Albert. And sharing
I appreciate the invitation. Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thomas, it was wonderful meeting you. Hope we can get together sometime in the future.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'd love to have you on again. I think we might, do a reschedule the whole health topic, since we didn't get to dive into that full force. So if you'd be open to that, I'll let you know, a time and date that we.
Anytime.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, and I'll talk to you soon and let you know when we can meet back up.
Sounds great.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Thomas.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.